This is the story of a modern-day Robin Hood, of someone who recognized that something was wrong and had the courage to do something about it. Established Africa chatted to Jessica Dewhurst about the Justice Desk and about standing up for human rights.
The Justice Desk was established in late 2013, early 2014, and ultimately it happened. It came from a long history of working in the volunteer NGO field. So I started working at the age of 14 at different NGOs and different organizations, and I mostly did a lot of charity-based work, which was great and lovely. I used to work in an organization that ran camps for vulnerable kids. I worked at a different organization that worked with the homeless. I worked at a different organization which focused on just handing out like food packages and school clothing and things like that. And I absolutely loved it. But the problem was that I slowly realized that we weren't really solving any of the problems that we were trying to address. So we had a case where there was this young girl in one of the projects, and she would come for these fun camps that we would run for her, and it was amazing, and she loved it and she really enjoyed it. But then we realized that she was being abused by her mother. She was actually being burnt by her mom. And I was 14, 15 at the time, so I was so traumatized by this. I was like, we can't send her home, we can't, because obviously, her mom will continue to hurt her. And no one seemed to care about what I was saying, and the fact that this young girl, as soon as the camp would end, would have to go home to this broken home and this community which did not support and care for this child. And what I realized at a very young age was that there was something very, very wrong in our country and in our community. Whereas if I was someone, if that had to happen to me, because I was very similar to this girl, like we were similar in age, we both loved music, we both loved to dance, even though we couldn't dance, we were terrible at it, but we were so similar. Yet, if something like that had to happen to me, it would be on the cover of papers, My mother would never even think about doing something like that to me. But even if my mom did, very shortly someone would find out about it and someone would be there to protect me. And I just couldn't quite understand why no one wanted to protect this girl. And I realized it was because she was different. She was black, I was white. And at the end of the day, she was a poor kid from a township, where stuff like this happens all the time. So it became normalized. So at a very young age, I realized that something was not quite right. I couldn't quite figure out what it was, but I realized there was just something off. And she actually ended up having to go home with her parents, and it was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced in my life. But people said, Jessica, calm down, we're still changing lives, we're still helping these kids, they get a good meal, they get school clothes, they get all these things. And I was like, okay, and I believed them, because we did change the lives of so many young people in a charity sense. But then another situation happened to me later on in life, and I think this was the moment where I kind of really realized, okay, this is the problem, but also this is what we need to be doing about it. And it was on my 18th birthday, when a couple of friends threw a surprise party for me. And I'm young, but I'm like a 90-year-old. So we were out, we're enjoying it, but I was like, oh, I need to go to bed. So like at 12 o'clock, I was like, okay, cheers guys, thank you so much. I need to go to bed. So I remember leaving the club, and I was attacked by 4 men. And I was so young, and I was just so scared, and it was a really, really horrible experience to have. And one of those men was arrested, and I had to go to court, and it was that whole kind of court case thing. And I didn't think it was the same in South Africa as it is in like American TV shows, but it is kind of similar, whereas I had to stand there and be like, that was the man, and it was very dramatic. And I realized then that simply doing charity work and simply feeding people and clothing people, it wasn't solving any issues. We could feed 10, 50,000 of those young boys, but at the end of the day, if we're not creating societies where they can grow up to live happy and healthy lives, where they have the choice to go to a good school, where if they don't have parents, at least there are people in the community who will protect them and look after them, we can work every single day. It won't make a difference. So we really needed to start focusing on the systemic causes of injustice. Why is it that some children have to grow up in certain conditions and others don't? And that's when the Justice Desk started. So I have amazing people in my life. We worked hard. I studied a few things at UCT and at the UN and at Cambridge, and I came back and we started the Justice Desk. So in a nutshell, what we do is we're a human rights organization. So we believe that the true experts in a community as to what their problems are, but also how they're going to solve it, is the community members themselves. And because of things like poverty and inequality and injustice, based on our history, there's some people who don't have equal access. They don't have the same knowledge, skills, tools, which someone like me would have, and other people in our organization. So what we do is we go into communities and we work with community members. We train, we empower, we equip you so that you can lead your own change. And we found that then it's community-owned change is much more sustainable and long-lasting, and other community members feel safer engaging in projects if it's run by their own. So we don't change lives. I mean, we've been here for like 4 years, so we're quite a young organization. This is our 5th year. We're going to have a birthday party. But we've directly impacted the lives of over 20,600 people. Indirectly, we're sitting at over 60,000 people. But what we say in the office is we haven't directly changed anyone's life. What we've done is empowered the people in the community to affect their own change. They're the change makers. We just see ourselves as people who are there to help them along their way in a destiny which was already set for them to be incredible change makers. Four key departments. We have an advocacy department which focuses on lobbying at the local level and the international level and the national level. We have a training department, and they go into communities and schools and they empower people. So with any kind of training, whether it's human rights training, justice training, and we also do things like anti-human trafficking, anti-domestic violence, any kind of thing that relates to human rights, we offer trainings in it. So we work in communities across South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe with those trainings. We have an education department, and what they do is they focus on working in schools. We have a youth ambassadors program, so we're in 35 schools across the 3 countries. We have 2 ambassadors per school, so we have like 60-something ambassadors, and these are amazing young people who are leading change in their schools. So they're establishing justice societies, they're getting young people involved in running. We have 12 human rights campaigns a year, specifically for schools. So they're doing these campaigns, running these campaigns, but what they're also doing, what the kind of secret is we're trying to help them to identify how to engage in advocacy and justice. So the different projects, we have a project called the Moyo Project, and that is a project with the Sisters of Charity in Khayelitsha, and it's a project where we build relationships. We have 180 registered volunteers, and we have 60 men and women who are differently abled, elderly, abused and abandoned. So what the project does is we do physio, we do music, we do arts and craft, we just build beautiful relationships between the residents and the volunteers, and it's really a family. So that's the one project. Second project is called Unported Club, and that focuses on self-defense classes for young girls. So in the Wantahill community, we had a lot of complaints about gender-based violence. So we wanted to tackle this through 2 ways. The first was through the Unported Club, and that offers girls self-defense classes so they can feel confident again, but also female empowerment and workshop. We have another project called Nsike Temper, and that focuses on young boys who don't have fathers in the community. So we're known as the fatherless nation in South Africa. So it's a project where young boys without fathers are partnered with an adult or young adult male mentor. So they mentor these young men, and they have things like really fun workshops where they focus on what does it mean to be a man? What does masculinity mean today? We have a project called Incluyokanyo, which is a drama program, and it focuses on specifically in Khayelitsha and a couple other communities, but mostly Khayelitsha. We also have a project called Heart, which is a small H-E and a capital A-R-T. I just think that that's hilarious. And that program is art-assisted therapy. So in the Grassy Parks and Parkwood community, it focuses on young people who've experienced trauma through the use of art. They're able to start to communicate that there's something that has happened. They're able to properly process and properly heal. And in both projects, once something has been identified, they are immediately connected with a counsellor who's able to help them, support them through whatever they've gone through. We have another project called Zikologolumko. That's a cool project, and it's pretty much children's parliament. So we have the children's parliament in Khayelitsha where young people get together. We have like a president and a deputy president, and we have a minister of this, and they speak about real issues that they experience in their communities. And to together they come up with solutions, and they work with local leaders in the community to try and establish proper just systems so that they can grow up to be healthy and happy kids. And we're a very small team. We only have 4 employed in South Africa, but we have 13 interns, and we have over 180 volunteers, and we have a team of 5 in Zambia and a team of 5 in Zimbabwe. So we have local people who we've trained and empowered in those countries to continue the work in that country, but we regularly fly and spend as much time there. We've seen incredible results. So people have contacted us saying, listen, we've read your research, we've seen the stuff you guys have done, can we pilot something in our community? And we're like, yes. Like, we don't charge for any of our services because we believe people have the right to access these things, this knowledge and skills. So we will train people, we will upskill them, we will send them our materials, our educational training materials, everything, so that they can start doing work in their community. If we're not solving the problems, what really are we trying to do? So are we trying to, we use the plaster example, like you can keep putting plasters on a cut, but unless you say, where did you cut yourself, and you fix the fence and you make sure that no one gets cut again, you're going to keep having to feed people, you're going to keep having to clothe people, and we're not really restoring people's dignity. People shouldn't be in that position in the first place. They should be empowered enough to live happy and healthy lives. So we need to be forward thinking, we need to start thinking justice, we need to start thinking systemically. So we need to start saying, okay, well, if this young person grew up to live this kind of life, what we need to recognize is the problem isn't this kid right here, it's the community that the kid grew up in. It's the road that led the kid to live that life. Our organization, there's not a single person here over the age of 35. We are all young adults. On top of that, we've been given a medal from the Queen. We have been given like multiple awards from multiple people, and we've kicked butt in the work that we're doing. And that's because we have recognized and we've owned the fact that young people are incredibly intelligent, they're incredibly passionate, creative, we're diverse, we're forward thinking. My age doesn't determine my ability to contribute towards making this country amazing. So I would say young people own your youth. It's an incredible gift that you have, and use the energy and the passion you have right now to contribute towards making this the community that you want to live in, the country you want to live in, because it's our country. We're going to have to live with the consequences. So don't for a second doubt your ability to make incredible change, because it's the only way change is going to be made is with our young people. My hope would be that we as a country would learn to be more compassionate with one another, that we would recognize that each and every person in this country is so loved and so valued and deserves everything this world has to offer.